Hello everyone. So today we're going to learn how to graph a line using slope-intercept form. So on Thursday I had assigned a video for you to watch, so hopefully you did watch it, so that way you have a little bit of background information for doing this. So we're going to start with example number 1. So I want to graph the equation y equals 2/3 x minus 1. So in order to graph an equation, you have to identify your slope and your y-intercept. So my slope, m, remember, is the coefficient of x, which is 2/3. And your y-intercept would be your constant, which is -1 because there's a minus sign in front of it. So now that I've identified my slope and my y-intercept, now I can get to graphing this. So we're going to plot the point that represents the y-intercept and use the slope to find the second and third point. So I'm going to find -1 on my y-axis. So that means from my origin, I'm going down 1. And then I'm going to use my slope of 2/3 to find my other 2 points. So remember that your slope represents your rise, which is how much you go up or down, and your run, which is how much you go left or right. So since it's a +2 and a +3, that means for my y-intercept, I'm going to rise up 2, 1, 2, and then go to the right 3, 1, 2, 3. So I make a point. So this is the point 3, 1. Then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to rise 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to run to the right 3, 1, 2, 3. So now I have 3 points, which gives me a good understanding of what my line should look like. And I am going to draw a straight line going through my points, making sure I put arrows at the ends because it is a line, so it goes on forever. And then I want to label this with the equation. So this represents y equals 2/3 x minus 1. So now when it says type of slope here, what I mean by that is it a positive slope, a negative slope? So this would be a positive slope. And number 1, I know it's positive because my coefficient of x is a +2/3, but also this is sloping upwards. If I am looking at a mountain, and when we determine if it's positive or negative, we always look from left to right. If you're going up the mountain, that's positive. When you go down the mountain, that's negative. All right, so let's go to question number 2. Okay, so question number 2. We want to graph -3x plus 3, and it's missing the y on my paper. So it should be y equals -3x plus 3. I'll make sure to correct it. So we need to start by identifying the slope and the y-intercept. So my slope, remember, is the coefficient of x, so that would be -3. My y-intercept is my constant, which is 3. So we're going to start at 3 on our y-axis, so 1, 2, 3. And then it says my slope is -3, but the problem is, remember, we need a numerator and a denominator so I can count my rise and run. So we're going to make sure to turn -3 into a fraction by putting it over 1. So a slope of -3 over 1 means that we're going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and then to the right 1. Because it's negative, it means one of the numbers is negative. Then again, I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. And then I'm going to draw my line going through my points. And I'm going to label this y equals -3x plus 3. So now this would be a negative slope because it's sloping downwards. Okay, number 3. We want to graph the equation y equals -2. So now this is different than the first two that we did because there's no x included and the only thing we have is a constant. So when we have something like this where it says y equals a constant, it means that your points, all the y values are -2. My x can be anything. So if I picked 2 points, any 2 points, my y value has to be -2. But my x can be anything. My x could be 1, my x could be 3. So now I'm going to plot those points so I can see what my graph looks like. So 1, -2 means go to the right 1, down 2. And then 3, -2 means go to the right 3 and down 2. So if you notice, this is a line that goes through the y-axis at -2 because all my y values have to be -2. So y equals -2. So this is what we would call a zero slope. And the reason why it's a zero slope, if I take my 2 points that I picked and I were to find what my slope is using my change in y over change in x, -2 minus -2 over 3 minus 1. -2 minus -2 would end up being 0 because these two negatives become a positive. And then 3 minus 1 is 2, but 0 over 2 is 0. So we see our slope is 0. The way I used to remember that this was a zero slope is that I can take this line and I can make a z out of it to know that it's zero slope. All right, and last example, number 4. We want to graph x equals 6. So again, this is different than questions 1 and 2 in that first it says x equal instead of y equals, and it's x is equal a constant. So what this means is that all my x values are 6. So I can pick 2 points, but my x has to be 6. My y can be anything. So I could have 6, 4. I could have 6, -3. So I'm going to plot these 2 points so I know what this line is going to look like. So 6, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 6, -3. I go right 6 down 3. And then I'm going to make my line, which is a vertical line. And this is x equals 6. So now this slope, I'm going to use my 2 points to show you what the value would be. So I'm going to do my change in y over change in x. So -3 minus 4 over 6 minus 6. So -3 minus 4 is -7, but 6 minus 6 is 0. You can't have 0 in the denominator because I can't take 7 parts of nothing or -7 parts of nothing. So this is what we call undefined or no slope. So you can say undefined or no slope. So how I used to remember that x equaling a constant is no slope is that I could make an n out of my line. Okay, so what I would like you to do now is complete the Google slide assignment with graphing linear equations. remember that you have to identify the slope, the y-intercept. You plot the y-intercept first, and then you use your slope to count your rise and run to get to other points. If you have any questions, just send me a message. Bye.